I have great news. I got to eat in a restaurant with more than one person today. Isn't that cool? I should have invited you. I invited actually some of you, but we had at least 30 people in a restaurant in the patio. This amazing place down in Carmel called Tuck Box. And how were we able to do that despite the shelter-in-place order by the governor? Because the business owner has courage, and so does the landlord. That's what it takes, folks. The business person and the landlord. Do you have anybody in your city, your town, with courage who's just going to open up their business? I think you do, because these businesses are hurting and it's time to open them up. And the spirit is changing. Let me tell you. We looked for businesses in Santa Cruz and we couldn't find some courageous business owners. These business owners are afraid of the fines and they're afraid of jail, but not this couple in Carmel. And more business owners are doing it because, think about it, if you go to ask permission to exercise your freedom that you're born with, you know what that means? That means we're slaves. And so this is the decision we got to make. Do we want to reinvent freedom, or I should say evolve beyond statism into real freedom where all coercion is immoral? You don't get special rights or powers because you wear a uniform and get a badge and a gun, or you wear a robe, or you get a funny license, or whatever gives you extra powers, allegedly. There is no extra powers. You're sovereign, I'm sovereign. We are children of God or nature or humanity. Your life is sacred. Your freedoms are sacred. Period. End of story. So there's a huge increase of courage which is happening. And so we went down there to support the business owners. We actually heard that some of their customers flew in from Texas on their private jet to support the courage of the restaurant owner there. We heard the waitresses are making $1,000 a day or $1,500 a day in tips because of the gratitude that the customers have. And it was wonderful to sit down and not look over our shoulders, you know what's going on. I did hear that the owners were threatened. I think they got fined by the county. They got threatened by the county as well. I think they got a cease and desist order. And you know what they did? They ignored it, because at some point you got to stop asking for your basic human rights, which you have. You don't need permission to work. You don't need a permission to open up a business. I mean, this is a whole other conversation about the scam of business licenses and permits. You can do whatever you want as long as you don't harm another person or their property, okay? This is where we're going with the word voluntarism. And the concept has been around, but it hasn't been marketed and put out there. So this is happening. This is really happening. It's a global phenomenon. It's a national, it's a state, it's a county, it's a city phenomenon. And when each of us realize we are our own owners and we got to accept the consequences of our actions or inactions, we're free. We get liberated. So if you know of any business in Santa Cruz that want to open up, let us know. San Jose also, let us know. We have 2 committees to reopen those cities to save lives, because it is economic warfare what these politicians are doing to you and me, and it's no longer acceptable. Would you agree? If so, join those groups. Come and join us on Friday the 22nd. We're going to be at the beach in Santa Cruz. We're expecting 60 people, maybe 80, maybe 100 plus, maybe more if you get us out to your people. And then we're going to go sunbathe. We're going to go play wiffle ball. We're going to go throw the frisbee around and do those illegal activities because the county officer says it's illegal. No. Where do they get their authority and power? From the consent of the governed. So if you didn't give your consent, then how do they have authority? They don't. Government's force, government's violence, and we're looking for business owners who want to open up. We'll help you. And we're even looking at the ability to sue these politicians and government officials in their personal capacity. Okay, so there's a gentleman named Truman Sigler who's been doing this for a long time, and we're gonna learn, we're gonna put our heads together, and we are gonna build a free world, a voluntary city, a voluntary country, a voluntary world, because what other options do we have? Okay, these guys want to forcibly vaccinate us. That's why Bill Gates talks about the 7 billion doses, because he wants to mandate around the world. They want to track us, chip us, and if we dissent, they can turn off the chip. And this is all documented. You can look up Carol Quigley or some other research. So many researchers have documented it, but we're talking about solutions. And that's you stepping into your courage, me stepping into mine, helping each other with cooperation, consent, voluntary relationships, and no masters and no slaves, right? Let's not fall into the victimhood of asking permission for our natural rights. So I know where my freedom comes from. Do you know where your freedom comes from?